Unit 3, Skills Test, Listening. You will hear an interview on the subject of learning languages with two specialists, James Kelly and Barbara Forza. For questions 1 to 7, choose the answer A, B, C or D, which fits best according to what you hear.
Today, we're looking at the subject of languages. My guests are James Kelly and Professor Barbara Forza. James, could you tell our listeners what you do?
Well, we have both, in the past, been language teachers. However, now we focus on a different side of language teaching. I train language teachers and write books about modern techniques in language teaching. Professor Forza is a university professor, and she is more involved in the research behind the techniques. And she also publishes books on language theories. She's more of an academic than I am.
Thanks. Professor Forza, I understand that language was an important issue to you from a young age, wasn't it?
That's right. I was born in Switzerland to Italian and German-speaking parents, and we moved to Scotland when I was 6. In Switzerland, we spoke both Italian and German at school, with a bit of French, but I'd never spoken English until we moved to Glasgow. Suddenly, I found myself unable to communicate with the kids around me or my teacher. The only people who understood me were my parents and sister. It was an incredibly isolating experience, having my ability to communicate with the world removed from me. The neighbours looked at us as though we were from another planet. But before too long, I started picking up the language from the other kids in school.
And how did your teacher treat you?
Well, she had no sympathy at all. I mean, I was already having a difficult time with the culture shock of moving to a new country. But my first teacher just didn't understand that I wasn't being lazy or trying to be difficult. I just genuinely didn't have a clue what he was saying. And in many ways, I think that was good for me. As with so many learners, it was the total immersion that forced me to work and make the connections. It was really sink or swim. So I just worked at making friends, at learning through play, and through learning by doing. It wasn't easy, of course, but I think what we can see from that experience is that you don't have to be formally taught a language to learn it successfully.
James, what was your first experience of language learning?
Interestingly, I also grew up in Scotland, but my family just spoke English. At school, we were taught French, but I just didn't understand it. I went to university to study geography and really didn't have any contact with language teaching until I decided I wanted to try working abroad. I checked out courses to learn how to become an English language teacher, and that's where it all started. My biggest learning curve was moving to Spain. I couldn't speak Spanish and only had English as my tool for communicating with my students in the classroom. That meant I had to be creative and resourceful, and, well, it sparked my imagination. I went on to write and produce my own language learning videos and books. If you told me as a kid I'd be teaching people how to learn and teach languages, I'd never have believed you.
Do you need to speak other languages to be a language teacher?
No, but it helps. Putting yourself in the place of the learner and understanding the confusion, the need for practice, the mistakes, and finally the success, it helps you to predict the types of problems that the learner might meet. I'm not saying that a teacher can't also learn all that while he or she is actually doing the job, but as I said before, it definitely helps.
I hear that you've both recently started on a joint venture together, podcasts.
Yes. We wanted to put together something that was easily accessed by teachers on their phone or tablet, but in small chunks so that the busy teacher can use it when they have a free moment. Well, 15 minutes.
The aim is to make it as easy to access as possible. It's something teachers can take with them and listen to on the commute to work. Of course, it's not the same as attending a training course or reading books on teaching, but what we've done here is to put together a series of engaging, stimulating and hopefully entertaining pieces on teaching ideas. For example, current research into language learning, which is an area most teachers rarely get to hear about.
Sounds interesting. Good luck with the series. Thank you both so much for coming to talk to us.